Clint Eastwood's Tonight Show appearance explodes into chaos as Jimmy Fallon's humiliating stunt with leaked photos backfires, sparking a furious confrontation that goes viral. Tensions flare, respect is demanded, and the stage is set for an epic showdown. The Tonight Show set buzzed with anticipation on May 11, 2025, as the iconic Clint Eastwood, at 94, strode out to promote his latest film, a gritty Western tackling themes of redemption and legacy. The audience roared, eager to hear from a Hollywood legend whose career spanned decades. Jimmy Fallon, all smiles, kicked things off with his usual charm, tossing out light-hearted jabs about Eastwood's age and cowboy swagger. "Clint, you're out here making films like you're still squinting at bad guys in the desert. How do you do it?" The crowd chuckled, but Eastwood's steely gaze hinted he wasn't here for games. Eastwood leaned back, his voice low and deliberate. "Jimmy, this film's about what matters. Honor, family, standing tall when the world's against you. It's not about chasing laughs." The audience clapped, sensing his gravitas. Fallon nodded, but his grin betrayed a plan. He pivoted, pulling out his phone with a theatrical flourish. "Well, Clint, speaking of standing tall, I got something here that's been making waves online. Some leaked photos of you. Let's just say they're spicy." The crowd gasped, intrigued, as Fallon held up his phone, projecting images onto the studio screen. The first photo showed Eastwood at a glitzy party, drink in hand, surrounded by younger celebrities. The second was grainier, but unmistakable. Eastwood laughing with Sean Diddy Combs, whose recent legal troubles had made headlines. The audience murmured, sensing scandal. Fallon's eyes gleamed. "Clint, you and Diddy? Wild nights, huh? What's the story here?" The jab landed like a cheap shot, and the room tensed. Eastwood's jaw tightened, his calm demeanor cracking just enough to show fire beneath. "Jimmy," Eastwood said, voice like gravel, "that Diddy photo's a fake, and you know it. I don't run with that crowd, never have. You're digging in the dirt for clicks, not truth." The audience shifted, some whispering, others nodding at Eastwood's defiance. Fallon laughed, trying to keep it light. "Come on, Clint, it's just fun. The internet's loving these. Look at you, still a party animal." He swiped to another photo, this one showing Eastwood in a compromising pose with an unidentified woman, clearly meant to embarrass. The crowd's reaction split, half gasping, half giggling. Eastwood leaned forward, his presence commanding silence. "You think this is a game? Those pictures are lies, meant to tear down what I've built. I came here to talk about my work, not to be your punchline." His words cut through Fallon's smirk, and the host faltered, sensing he'd miscalculated. The band's drummer tapped nervously, and the producers in the booth exchanged glances. Fallon, undeterred, doubled down. "Clint, relax, it's showbiz. People love a little gossip. Tell us about this mystery lady." He winked at the camera, but the mood was souring. Eastwood's eyes narrowed. "Respect, Jimmy. That's what you're missing. For the work, for the audience, for me. You don't get to drag my name through the mud for laughs." The audience erupted, some cheering Eastwood's stand, others loyal to Fallon's playful vibe. Social media was already lighting up, clips of the exchange spreading like wildfire. Fallon, caught off guard, tried to pivot. "All right, let's talk about the film then. What's the big message?" But Eastwood wasn't letting it go that easily. "You don't get to flip the script now," Eastwood said, voice rising just enough to chill the room. "You brought those photos out to humiliate me, and I'm not here for it. You want to talk my film? Earn it." The crowd roared, split between awe at Eastwood's resolve and shock at the escalating clash. Fallon's smile wavered, his usual control slipping. The stage was set for a showdown, and as the segment paused for a break, the tension hung thick, promising more fire to come. The Tonight Show set crackled with unease as the break ended, cameras rolling on a visibly rattled Jimmy Fallon. Clint Eastwood's words still echoed. "Earn it." The audience, buzzing from the clash, leaned in, sensing the confrontation was far from over. Fallon, usually the master of deflection, adjusted his tie, forcing a chuckle. "All right, Clint. You're a tough guy, we get it," he said, aiming for levity. "Let's talk your film like you wanted. Redemption, right? Big themes." His tone was conciliatory, but his eyes darted to the producers, signaling he was scrambling. Eastwood sat unmoved, his weathered hands clasped, staring through Fallon like he was sizing up a villain in one of his westerns. "You don't get to gloss this over, Jimmy," he said, voice steady but sharp. "You tried to shame me with fake photos, disrespecting me and everyone watching. Now you want to play nice? That's not how this works." The crowd erupted, some chanting, "Clint! Clint!" while others whistled, egging on the drama. Social media was ablaze, with Eastwood vs. Fallon trending as clips of the standoff racked up millions of views. Fallon's smile tightened, his charm faltering under Eastwood's unrelenting gaze. "Look, Clint, I'm sorry if you took it the wrong way," he said, leaning forward. "Those photos were just a bit of fun, to spice things up. The audience loves it." He gestured to the crowd, hoping for backup, but the response was mixed, with some booing at the mention of the photos. Eastwood shook his head, his expression one of quiet disgust. "Fun for who, Jimmy? Not for me, not for the people who respect what I do. You're chasing cheap laughs, and it's pathetic." The word pathetic hit like a slap, and Fallon's face flushed. The audience gasped, sensing the shift. Fallon, now defensive, snapped back. "Pathetic? Clint, I'm just doing my job. This is The Tonight Show, not a TED Talk. People want entertainment, not sermons." He waved his phone again, as if tempted to revisit the photos, but thought better of it. Instead, he leaned into sarcasm. "You're out here acting like I insulted your legacy. It's just a couple of pictures. Lighten up." Eastwood's eyes flared, but his voice stayed calm, cutting deeper for it. "My legacy? I've spent 60 years building something real, telling stories that matter. You think you can tear that down with a swipe of your phone? You're not just insulting me, you're insulting everyone who believes in the work." The audience roared, more siding with Eastwood now, his words resonating with a sincerity Fallon couldn't match. A woman in the front row stood clapping fiercely, and others joined, amplifying the tension. Fallon, sensing the crowd slipping, tried to pivot. "Okay, Clint, let's talk respect then. Your film, your big message, what's it all about? Tell us." But the attempt felt desperate, and Eastwood wasn't biting. "Respect starts with you shutting up and listening," he said, leaning forward. "You don't get to play host now and pretend this didn't happen. You crossed a line, and I'm not here to make you feel better about it." The crowd's cheers drowned out Fallon's next words, and for a moment he looked genuinely lost, his usual charisma buried under Eastwood's commanding presence. The producers, sensing chaos, signaled for the band to play a quick riff, but Eastwood raised a hand, silencing them. "I'm not done," he said, his voice booming. "You want to know what my film's about? It's about standing up when someone tries to knock you down. Like right now." The audience exploded, some leaping to their feet while Fallon's jaw dropped, his control of the show crumbling. Online, the moment was already iconic, with ex-posts calling Eastwood a legend and Fallon a clown. But Eastwood wasn't finished. He stood, towering over the set, and pointed at Fallon. "You think you're clever, but you're small. Jimmy, you don't get to drag my name through the mud and walk away clean." The crowd went wild, and Fallon, red-faced, stammered, "Clint, come on, sit down, let's—" Before he could finish, Eastwood turned, his boots heavy on the stage, and stormed off, leaving Fallon alone under the spotlight, the audience's cheers and jeers ringing in his ears. The Tonight Show stage felt like a battlefield, as Clint Eastwood's exit left a stunned silence, broken only by the audience's divided roars. Jimmy Fallon, alone under the glaring lights, gripped the desk, his face a mix of shock and embarrassment. The crowd's cheers for Eastwood mingled with jeers aimed at him, and the weight of the moment was inescapable. Backstage producers scrambled, whispering frantically into headsets, while social media exploded with clips of Eastwood's parting shot. "You're small, Jimmy." The hashtag #Fallon flopped surged, and X posts dissected every second of the clash. Fallon forced a shaky laugh, trying to reclaim the room. "Well, folks, that's Clint Eastwood for you, huh? Never a dull moment." His voice cracked, and the audience's response was tepid, some still chanting, "Clint." He glanced at the empty chair where Eastwood had sat, then at the screen still frozen on the fake Diddy photo. The image, meant as a joke, now felt like a misfire that had cost him the crowd. "Okay, let's keep this moving," he said, signaling the band. But the music felt hollow, unable to mask the chaos. Backstage, Eastwood hadn't left the building. A producer, sweating, caught up to him in the green room. "Mr. Eastwood, please, can you come back? We need to smooth this over. The show's live." Eastwood, pouring a coffee, didn't look up. "Smooth it over? That kid dug his own grave. I'm not here to bail him out." His calm was unnerving, his resolve unshaken. The producer pleaded, "It's trending everywhere, sir. People are saying you destroyed him. Just a quick return? Talk about your film?" Eastwood set the cup down, his eyes cold. "I said what I needed to. He wants respect. He earns it." On stage, Fallon was floundering. He tried to pivot to a lighter segment, introducing a game with the next guest, but the audience wasn't buying it. A heckler shouted, "Bring Clint back!" and others joined, clapping rhythmically. Fallon's smile strained as he glanced at the producer's booth, where frantic gestures urged him to stall. All right, let's talk about what just happened," he said, leaning into the chaos. "Clint's a legend, no question. Maybe I pushed too far with those photos. My bad, okay?" The admission drew scattered applause, but it felt forced, and the crowd sensed his desperation. Then, against all odds, Eastwood reappeared. The audience erupted as he walked back, not to his chair but to the edge of the stage, arms crossed. Fallon's eyes widened. "Clint, you're back. Come on, let's talk this out." Eastwood didn't move, his silence louder than any words. "You don't get it, Jimmy," he finally said, voice low but piercing. "This isn't about me. It's about what you're doing to everyone who comes here. You think humiliating people is entertainment? You're selling out the audience, not serving them." The crowd roared, more united now, his words striking a chord. Fallon, cornered, stood up, his tone sharper. "Clint, I said I was sorry. This is my show, and I'm trying to keep it fun. You can't just walk in and lecture me." The defiance sparked murmurs, some fans rallying to Fallon's side. Eastwood stepped closer, unfazed. "Your show? It's their show," he said, pointing to the audience. "They deserve better than your cheap tricks. You want to keep it fun? Try keeping it real." The crowd's cheers were deafening, and Fallon's face fell, the weight of his misstep sinking in. Online, the moment was electric. X-users posted memes of Eastwood's glare, captioned, "When you mess with a legend." Others debated Fallon's apology, calling it too little, too late. The tension on stage was palpable, with Fallon trying to regain control. "Clint, let's talk your film, seriously. No games. What's it about?" But Eastwood shook his head. "You had your chance. I'm done playing your fool." The audience gasped, sensing another exit, and the producers braced for impact, knowing the viral storm was only growing. The Tonight Show stage pulsed with raw energy as Clint Eastwood stood firm, his words, "I'm done playing your fool," hanging heavy in the air. The audience, electrified, was a mix of cheers and stunned silence, their loyalty split between the defiant legend and a floundering Jimmy Fallon. The viral storm on X raged on, with millions sharing clips of Eastwood's takedown, memes flooding, feeds and hashtags like Clint calls out trending worldwide. Fallon, visibly shaken, gripped the desk, his attempt to pivot to Eastwood's film falling flat. "Clint, come on, don't leave it like this," he said, voice tight. "Let's give the people what they want, a real talk." Eastwood's eyes, sharp as ever, locked onto Fallon. "What they want," he said, stepping closer, his presence commanding the room. "They want truth, Jimmy, not your circus. You tried to bury me with lies, and now you're begging for a lifeline. That's not how respect works." The crowd roared, many leaping to their feet, their applause drowning out Fallon's next words. A woman in the audience shouted, "Tell him, Clint!" and the chant spread, amplifying the tension. Fallon's face reddened, his usual charm no match for Eastwood's gravitas. Fallon, desperate to salvage the moment, stood raising his hands. "All right, Clint, you win. I screwed up. Those photos were a bad call, and I'm sorry. Let's start over, please." His apology sounded sincere, but the audience's reaction was mixed, some clapping, others booing, still stung by the earlier disrespect. Eastwood didn't budge, his expression unyielding. "Sorry doesn't erase the damage, Jimmy. You knew those photos, especially that fake with Diddy, could hurt me. You gambled with my name for ratings. That's not a mistake. That's a choice." The crowd's cheers surged, and X lit up with posts praising Eastwood's refusal to let Fallon off easy. The producers, panicking, signaled for the band to play, but Eastwood raised a hand, silencing them again. "I'm not here to shut you down, Jimmy," he said, his voice softening but still firm. "I'm here to wake you up. This show, this platform, it's bigger than you. Use it to lift people up, not tear them down." The audience erupted, the sincerity in his words shifting the room's energy. Even Fallon's loyal fans quieted, moved by the call for accountability. Fallon sank into his chair, nodding slowly, his defenses crumbling. "You're right," he muttered, barely audible. "I got carried away." Eastwood turned to the audience, his gaze sweeping the room. "This film I'm promoting? It's about standing for something, even when it's hard. Tonight I stood for respect. For me, for you, for the work. Don't let anyone cheapen that." The crowd rose in a standing ovation, their cheers shaking the studio. Fallon clapped too, a reluctant acknowledgement of Eastwood's power. Online, the moment was hailed as a masterclass, with ex-users calling it the speech that broke the internet. Clips of Eastwood's words racked up tens of millions of views, sparking debates about media ethics and celebrity culture. As the applause faded, Eastwood gave Fallon a final look, not of anger, but of expectation. "Do better," he said, then turned and walked off, his boots echoing with purpose. This time, he didn't return. The audience's cheers followed him, a testament to his triumph. Fallon, left alone, forced a smile. "Well, that was something," he said, his voice hollow. "Let's give it up for Clint Eastwood, everybody." The applause was thunderous, but it wasn't for him. The show limped to its close, with Fallon's usual jokes falling flat. Backstage, he avoided the press, while Eastwood's team released a statement denouncing the fake photos and affirming his focus on his film's message. The viral fallout reshaped the narrative. Fallon issued a public apology on X, vowing to rethink his approach, while Eastwood's film saw a surge in buzz, its themes of integrity resonating anew. The confrontation, raw and unscripted, became a cultural touchstone, a reminder that respect, as Eastwood said, is earned, not bought. The audience, both in the studio and online, left with a story they'd never forget. A legend standing tall, and a host learning the hard way what it means to cross a line.